As the global community grappled with the repercussions of the unforeseen impacts of time-looping technology, the focus shifted towards rebuilding trust and ensuring a responsible path forward. This new phase, centered on recovery and reassessment, required concerted efforts from scientists, policymakers, and the public alike. Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team were at the forefront of this endeavor. They understood that restoring public confidence in time-looping technology was crucial, not only for its continued development, but also for maintaining the integrity of scientific research. The first step in this process was to address the immediate concerns raised by the anomalies and to communicate transparently about the risks and the measures being taken to mitigate them. The team launched a comprehensive public outreach campaign. This campaign included town hall meetings, webinars, and educational workshops designed to engage with the public directly. These events provided a platform for citizens to voice their concerns, ask questions, and receive clear, honest answers. Dr. Vaughn emphasized the importance of acknowledging the mistakes and limitations that had been exposed and explained the steps being taken to prevent future issues. In these discussions, the team highlighted the lessons learned from the anomalies. They explained how the genetic contamination in agriculture and the neurological symptoms in patients had prompted a deeper understanding of the complex interactions between time-looping technology and biological systems. This new knowledge was being used to refine the technology and develop safer applications. One of the key messages conveyed during this campaign was the commitment to ethical stewardship. Dr. Vaughn and her colleagues reiterated their dedication to transparency, public engagement, and the precautionary principle. They assured the public that any future applications of time-looping technology would be subject to rigorous ethical review and oversight, with a focus on minimizing risks and maximizing benefits for all. Parallel to these public engagement efforts, the team worked closely with the Global Task Force on time-looping impacts to implement the recommended measures. This included halting the expansion of time-looping applications, enhancing monitoring systems, and increasing funding for independent research. These steps were crucial in building a more robust regulatory framework and ensuring that the technology could be used safely and responsibly. In the scientific community, there was a renewed emphasis on collaboration and knowledge sharing. The International Research Consortium established by the task force became a central hub for coordinating studies on the long-term impacts of time-looping technology. Researchers from around the world contributed data, shared findings, and developed best practices for managing the risks associated with the technology. The consortium also facilitated the training and education of a new generation of scientists and engineers. These young professionals were taught not only the technical aspects of time-looping technology, but also the ethical and social responsibilities that came with it. This holistic approach aimed to cultivate a culture of responsible innovation and to ensure that future leaders in the field were well-equipped to navigate the complex challenges ahead. As these initiatives progressed, signs of recovery began to emerge. Public confidence slowly started to rebuild as the team and their international partners demonstrated a commitment to learning from past mistakes and prioritizing public safety. The measures taken to address the anomalies and to strengthen the regulatory framework were seen as positive steps toward a more controlled and ethical use of the technology. However, the road to recovery was not without its challenges. The team faced ongoing scrutiny from both the public and the media, as well as from within the scientific community. Critics continued to question whether time-looping technology could ever be made entirely safe, or whether its potential benefits justified the risks. These debates were a reminder of the need for ongoing vigilance and a balanced approach to innovation. Dr. Vaughn, reflecting on the progress made, acknowledged that the journey was far from over. The process of rebuilding trust and ensuring the responsible development of time-looping technology was ongoing and required a long-term commitment. She and her team were prepared to continue their work, guided by the principles of transparency, inclusivity, and ethical responsibility. As the chapter closed, there was a cautious optimism about the future. The global community had shown resilience in the face of challenges, and there was a growing consensus on the need for a more thoughtful and collaborative approach to technological innovation. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were committed to leading by example, demonstrating that it was possible to pursue scientific progress while respecting ethical boundaries and societal values. The path forward would undoubtedly present new challenges and uncertainties, but the lessons learned from the past offered valuable guidance. With a renewed focus on ethical stewardship and public engagement, the journey toward recovery and responsible innovation continued, holding the promise of a future where technology was harnessed for the greater good of all. As the global community continued to address the consequences of the anomalies associated with time-looping technology, efforts intensified to strengthen safeguards and develop a more comprehensive regulatory framework. This chapter focuses on the measures implemented to ensure that the technology's future use would be safe, ethical, and aligned with societal values. One of the primary concerns that emerged from the anomalies was the need for more robust monitoring and control systems. The Global Task Force on Time-Looping Impacts, along with the International Research Consortium, emphasized the importance of real-time monitoring of time-looping applications. This included the installation of advanced sensors and data analytics tools in agricultural fields, medical facilities, and research laboratories. These systems were designed to detect any irregularities or deviations from expected outcomes, enabling swift responses to potential risks. Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team collaborated with engineers and data scientists to develop these monitoring systems. They incorporated machine learning algorithms to analyze data patterns and predict possible issues before they became critical. This proactive approach was aimed at minimizing the likelihood of unintended consequences and ensuring that any emerging problems could be addressed promptly. In addition to monitoring systems, the regulatory framework was expanded to include stricter guidelines for the approval and oversight of time-looping projects. The guidelines mandated comprehensive environmental and health impact assessments for all new applications of the technology. These assessments were required to evaluate not only the immediate effects, but also the potential long-term implications, taking into account the complexities and interdependencies of natural and human systems. To enforce these guidelines, the Global Time-Looping Consortium established a dedicated oversight body with the authority to review and approve projects. This body, composed of experts in science, ethics, law, and public health, was responsible for ensuring that all projects met the highest standards of safety and ethics. It also had the power to halt or modify projects that posed unacceptable risks. The oversight body worked closely with local and national regulators to implement these standards consistently across different regions. They provided training and support to regulatory agencies, helping them build the capacity needed to effectively oversee time-looping projects. This collaboration was crucial for maintaining a cohesive and coordinated approach to the technology's regulation. Public involvement in the oversight process was also a key focus. The consortium and the oversight body established mechanisms for public consultation and participation, ensuring that community concerns and values were considered in decision-making. This included public hearings, stakeholder forums, and opportunities for citizens to submit feedback on proposed projects. The goal was to foster a transparent and inclusive regulatory environment that respected the voices of all affected parties. In parallel with these regulatory efforts, Dr. Vaughn's team continued to refine the technology and develop safer applications. They focused on addressing the specific issues identified in the earlier phases, such as genetic contamination in agriculture and neurological effects in patients. This involved exploring alternative methods and technologies that could mitigate these risks while still delivering the benefits of time looping. In agriculture, the team experimented with gene editing techniques to control the spread of altered traits and prevent cross-pollination with native species. They also worked on developing biocontainment strategies, such as using sterile plants or creating buffer zones around time-looped fields. These measures were aimed at preserving biodiversity and protecting local ecosystems from unintended consequences. In healthcare, the focus was on improving patient safety and support. The team expanded their research into the long-term effects of time-looping treatments, particularly the neurological and psychological impacts. They collaborated with medical professionals and mental health experts to develop comprehensive care protocols that addressed both physical and mental well-being. This included regular follow-ups, mental health screenings, and tailored therapeutic interventions. As these initiatives progressed, the public's confidence in time-looping technology began to stabilize. The transparency of the oversight process and the visible commitment to safety and ethics played a crucial role in rebuilding trust. However, there remained a strong emphasis on vigilance and continuous improvement, recognizing that the technology's complexity required ongoing attention and adaptation. Internationally, the strengthened safeguards and regulatory frameworks were seen as a model for managing advanced technologies. The Global Time-Looping Consortium's efforts to standardize practices and share knowledge across borders contributed to a more unified and responsible approach. This global collaboration was essential for addressing the challenges of a rapidly advancing technological landscape. The chapter closed with a sense of cautious progress. The implementation of stronger safeguards and oversight mechanisms represented a significant step forward in ensuring the responsible development of time-looping technology. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were committed to upholding the principles of ethical innovation and public accountability. The journey of integrating time-looping technology into society continued, guided by the lessons learned and a collective commitment to the common good. The road ahead was complex and uncertain, but the strengthened safeguards provided a foundation for moving forward with confidence and care. As they looked to the future, Dr. Vaughn and her team remained focused on their mission, to harness the potential of technology in a way that was safe, ethical, and beneficial for all. The global effort to manage the impacts of time-looping technology increasingly emphasized the role of community engagement and transparent communication. As part of the recovery phase, it became clear that fostering an informed and involved public was crucial for Terra, the ethical deployment and acceptance of this powerful technology. Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team recognized that effective communication was more than just disseminating information. It was about building a dialogue with the community. They established a dedicated outreach team tasked with enhancing public understanding and participation in the discussions surrounding time-looping technology. This team included communication specialists, educators, and community liaisons, all working together to bridge the gap between scientific developments and public perception. One of the first initiatives was the launch of a comprehensive educational campaign aimed at demystifying time-looping technology. This campaign utilized a variety of media, including documentaries, interactive online platforms, and public seminars. The content was designed to be accessible and engaging, explaining the science behind time loops, the potential benefits, and the associated risks in layman's terms. Special attention was given to addressing common misconceptions and fears, providing clear and evidence-based information. In addition to public education, the team focused on fostering community involvement in decision-making processes. They organized a series of community workshops and focus groups, inviting residents, local leaders, and other stakeholders to share their perspectives and concerns. These sessions were facilitated by neutral moderators to ensure open and respectful dialogue. The insights gathered from these discussions were used to inform policy and regulatory decisions, reflecting a commitment to responsive and inclusive governance. Dr. Vaughn and her colleagues also prioritized building relationships with key community figures and organizations. They worked closely with educators, healthcare professionals, farmers, and environmentalists, recognizing that these groups had valuable insights and a stake in the outcomes of time-looping projects. By engaging directly with these stakeholders, the team sought to build trust and create a sense of shared ownership over the technology's development. An important aspect of this community engagement strategy was transparency in addressing past mistakes and ongoing challenges. The team did not shy away from discussing the anomalies that had occurred, the steps being taken to address them, and the uncertainties that still existed. This honesty was crucial in rebuilding public trust and demonstrating a commitment to accountability and continuous improvement. The efforts to enhance communication and community involvement were complemented by the development of new participatory platforms. The team introduced an online portal where citizens could access detailed information about time-looping projects, submit feedback, and participate in virtual town hall meetings. This platform was designed to be user-friendly and inclusive, allowing for broad participation regardless of geographic or socioeconomic barriers. Internationally, the Global Time-Looping Consortium adopted similar strategies, promoting cross-border dialogue and collaboration. They facilitated international forums where representatives from different countries could share their experiences, challenges, and successes with time-looping technology. These forums help to harmonize approaches, promote best practices, and build a global community of informed and engaged stakeholders. The emphasis on community and communication also had a significant impact on policy development. Policymakers and regulators, guided by the feedback from public consultations and community engagements, were able to craft policies that were more attuned to public concerns and values. This participatory approach to policymaking helped to ensure that the regulatory framework was not only scientifically sound, but also socially legitimate. As these efforts progressed, there was a noticeable shift in public sentiment. While initial reactions to the technology's challenges had been marked by skepticism and concern, there was now a growing sense of cautious optimism. The community's active participation in the conversation around time-looping technology fostered a sense of empowerment and confidence in the regulatory processes. Dr. Vaughn, reflecting on the progress made, emphasized the importance of ongoing engagement and communication. She noted that building a relationship of trust with the public was an ongoing process that required continuous effort and a willingness to listen and adapt. The team was committed to maintaining this dialogue and ensuring that the community remained an integral part of the journey. The chapter concluded with a renewed focus on the future. The emphasis on community and communication had strengthened the foundation for the responsible and ethical development of time-looping technology. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their global partners, were dedicated to continuing this approach, recognizing that a technology as powerful and complex as time-looping required a partnership between scientists, policymakers, and the public. The journey was far from over, but the steps taken to engage and communicate with the community provided a roadmap for navigating the challenges ahead. The collective effort to manage time-looping technology responsibly and ethically was a testament to the power of dialogue, transparency, and collaboration in shaping a better future. As time-looping technology continued to evolve under stricter regulations and heightened public scrutiny, Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team faced the challenge of driving innovation within newly established constraints. The goal was to continue exploring the potential of the technology while adhering to the enhanced ethical standards and safety measures that had been put in place. The team's approach centered on a concept they termed cautious innovation. This involved pursuing advancements in time-looping technology with a deliberate focus on minimizing risks and prioritizing ethical considerations. The idea was to foster a culture of responsible creativity, where innovation was balanced with a deep awareness of its broader impacts on society and the environment. One of the key areas of focus was the refinement of the technology's applications in agriculture. The team continued to explore ways to harness the benefits of accelerated growth cycles without compromising ecological stability. This included further development of biocontainment strategies, such as the use of genetic switches that could deactivate altered traits under certain conditions, preventing their spread into the wild. Additionally, the team worked on integrating more sustainable practices into time-looping agriculture. This included experimenting with polyculture systems, where multiple crop species were grown together to mimic natural ecosystems, enhancing biodiversity and reducing the risk of monoculture-related issues. The aim was to create a more resilient agricultural model that could sustain long-term productivity without depleting resources or harming the environment. In healthcare, the focus was on refining the use of time looping for medical treatments, particularly in the areas of regenerative medicine and chronic disease management. The team explored the potential for using time loops to accelerate tissue regeneration and recovery, offering new hope for patients with conditions that currently had limited treatment options. However, this work was conducted with stringent oversight and patient support systems in place, ensuring that the risks were fully communicated and managed. Dr. Vaughn and her team also expanded their research into understanding the neurological effects of time looping. They collaborated with neuroscientists and psychologists to study the brain's response to altered temporal states, aiming to identify any subtle changes in cognition or perception. This research was crucial for developing guidelines on safe exposure levels and for designing therapeutic interventions to support patients who experienced side effects. Parallel to these technological advancements, there was a continued emphasis on ethics and governance. The team engaged with bioethicists, legal experts, and policymakers to ensure that their work was in line with the latest ethical standards and regulatory requirements. They participated in international conferences and workshops, contributing to the global dialogue on responsible innovation and sharing their experiences and insights. The Global Time-Looping Consortium played a central role in facilitating this dialogue, helping to align efforts across different countries and cultures. They worked to harmonize regulations and standards, recognizing that a consistent approach was essential for managing the global implications of the technology. This included developing international guidelines on bioethics, environmental protection, and public health, ensuring that all stakeholders had a common framework for action. Public engagement remained a cornerstone of the team's strategy. They continued to host public forums, educational workshops, and interactive exhibits, providing ongoing opportunities for people to learn about the technology and its applications. These events were designed to be transparent and inclusive, encouraging a broad range of voices and perspectives. The team also sought to demystify the science behind time looping, making it accessible and understandable to non-experts. As these initiatives progressed, there was a growing sense of cautious optimism within the community. The public's confidence in the technology was slowly being restored, bolstered by the team's commitment to transparency, safety, and ethical conduct. However, there was also a recognition that the journey was ongoing and that vigilance was necessary to navigate the complexities and uncertainties that lay ahead. Dr. Vaughn, reflecting on the progress made, emphasized the importance of maintaining a balance between innovation and responsibility. She noted that while the constraints imposed by regulations and public scrutiny were challenging, they were also necessary for ensuring that the technology developed in a way that was safe, ethical, and aligned with societal values. The chapter closed with a focus on the future. The concept of cautious innovation had become a guiding principle for the team, shaping their approach to research and development. They were committed to continuing their work with integrity, guided by a vision of technology that enhanced human well-being and respected the natural world. As they looked to the next phase of their journey, Dr. Vaughn and her team were prepared to face new challenges and opportunities. They were determined to advance time-looping technology in a way that was thoughtful, inclusive, and responsible, confident that with careful stewardship, it could be a powerful force for positive change. The path ahead was not without its difficulties, but the foundation of ethical innovation provided a strong basis for navigating the complexities of the modern world. The increasing global adoption of time-looping technology led to a diverse array of implementations and adaptations, reflecting the unique needs and values of different regions. While international standards and ethical guidelines provided a common framework, local contexts shaped how these technologies were integrated into everyday life. This chapter explores the dynamics of global collaboration and the challenges posed by diverging paths in the application of time-looping technology. Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team continued to play a pivotal role in fostering international cooperation. They actively participated in the Global Time-Looping Consortium's initiatives, which included cross-border research collaborations, data sharing agreements, and joint training programs. He's efforts were aimed at building a cohesive global approach to the technology, ensuring that best practices were disseminated and that innovations were shared widely. However, as time-looping technology became more embedded in different societies, variations in its use began to emerge. In some regions, the technology was primarily focused on agricultural enhancements, addressing food security and sustainability challenges. These areas prioritized applications that increased crop yields, improved resilience to climate change, and minimized environmental impact. They invested heavily in biocontainment strategies and ecological monitoring, reflecting a strong commitment to environmental stewardship. In contrast, other regions placed a greater emphasis on medical applications, leveraging time-looping technology to advance healthcare. These areas focused on accelerating recovery from injuries and surgeries, developing regenerative therapies, and managing chronic conditions. The healthcare sector's integration of time-looping technology often involved extensive patient support systems and rigorous ethical oversight to ensure that treatments were safe and effective. Dr. Vaughn and her colleagues observed that these regional differences were influenced by a variety of factors, including economic conditions, cultural attitudes towards technology, and local regulatory landscapes. They recognized the importance of respecting these differences while also advocating for a baseline of ethical and safety standards that could be applied universally. This balance was crucial for maintaining global cohesion while allowing for local adaptability. One of the key challenges that emerged from these diverging paths was the potential for inequities in access to time-looping technology. Regions with more resources and infrastructure were able to adopt and integrate the technology more rapidly, potentially widening the gap between technologically advanced areas and those with fewer resources. The Global Time-Looping Development Fund, established earlier to support equitable access, played a critical role in addressing this issue by providing funding and technical assistance to less developed regions. Despite these efforts, disparities remained a concern. The consortium, along with Dr. Vaughn's team, explored additional measures to promote fairness and inclusivity. They considered policies such as technology transfer agreements, capacity-building initiatives, and collaborative research grants to help bridge the gap. There was also a push for more transparent and participatory decision-making processes, ensuring that communities had a voice in how the technology was used and distributed. The ethical landscape continued to evolve as new applications of time-looping technology were developed. Debates arose around issues such as the use of the technology in non-medical enhancements, the potential for unintended societal impacts, and the long-term sustainability of its widespread use. These discussions highlighted the need for ongoing ethical reflection and adaptive governance. In response to these challenges, the Global Time-Looping Consortium proposed the creation of an International Ethics Council. This body would be responsible for reviewing and advising on the ethical implications of new developments in time-looping technology. It would include ethicists, legal experts, scientists, and representatives from civil society, providing a multidisciplinary perspective on complex ethical questions. Dr. Vaughn supported the establishment of the International Ethics Council, seeing it as a vital step towards ensuring that the technology's development remained aligned with global values and ethical principles. She emphasized the importance of a transparent and accountable governance structure that could adapt to new challenges and incorporate diverse viewpoints. As the chapter drew to a close, the global community faced the reality that time-looping technology, while promising, also required careful management and constant vigilance. The diverging paths in its application underscored the complexity of integrating such a transformative technology into diverse social, cultural, and economic contexts. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, remained committed to navigating these challenges with integrity and foresight. They recognized that the journey was ongoing and that the technology's full potential could only be realized through collaborative effort, ethical commitment, and a shared vision for a sustainable and equitable future. The path ahead was uncertain, marked by both opportunities and risks. However, the foundations laid by the global collaboration and the establishment of ethical standards provided a strong basis for addressing the challenges to come. Vaughn and her team were prepared to continue their work, guided by the principles of cautious innovation and global solidarity, confident that with collective effort, they could help shape a future where time-looping technology served the common good. As time-looping technology became more integrated into various sectors, new ethical frontiers emerged, prompting deeper public deliberation and policy consideration. This chapter explores how these ethical questions were addressed, the role of public engagement, and the evolving governance structures designed to navigate these challenges. One of the most pressing ethical issues was the potential use of time-looping technology for human enhancement beyond therapeutic applications. The technology's ability to accelerate healing and regeneration opened the door to possibilities such as enhanced physical abilities, prolonged lifespan, and even cognitive enhancements. These prospects raised fundamental questions about fairness, accessibility, and the potential social implications of such enhancements. Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team were at the forefront of the dialogue surrounding these ethical considerations. They recognized the potential benefits of such applications, but also the profound risks and moral dilemmas they posed. The team engaged with bioethicists, sociologists, and philosophers to explore these issues, seeking to understand the broader societal impacts and the values at stake. The public's views on these enhancements were mixed. Some saw them as a natural progression of technological advancement, offering new opportunities for improving quality of life. Others feared that such enhancements could exacerbate existing inequalities, create new forms of social division, and fundamentally alter what it means to be human. The potential for a society where access to enhancements was stratified based on wealth or status was a particular concern. To address these concerns, the Global Time-Looping Consortium, in collaboration with Dr. Vaughn's team, organized a series of public forums and debates. These events were designed to facilitate open dialogue, allowing citizens to voice their opinions, ask questions, and engage with experts. The discussions were candid and wide-ranging, covering topics such as the ethics of enhancement, the implications for identity and society, and the potential for regulatory frameworks. The outcome of these deliberations highlighted a need for cautious and inclusive policy development. The consortium proposed a moratorium on non-therapeutic enhancements until a comprehensive ethical and regulatory framework could be established. This moratorium was intended to provide time for deeper reflection, research, and public consultation, ensuring that any future decisions were made with broad societal input and understanding. The establishment of the International Ethics Council, which had been proposed earlier, was accelerated to address these emerging ethical challenges. The Council's mandate included reviewing potential applications of time-looping technology, assessing the ethical implications, and providing guidance on best practices. It also had the authority to recommend policy measures and to foster international cooperation on ethical standards. The Council's work was complemented by the efforts of the public engagement teams, who continued to educate and involve the public in these critical discussions. They developed educational materials, hosted workshops, and utilized digital platforms to reach a wider audience. The goal was to build a well-informed public capable of participating meaningfully in the governance of time-looping technology. Another significant ethical frontier was the environmental impact of time-looping technology, particularly in agriculture. While the technology had the potential to enhance food production, concerns about long-term ecological effects persisted. These included the risk of genetic contamination, loss of biodiversity, and the potential disruption of natural ecosystems. Dr. Vaughn's team collaborated with environmental scientists and ecologists to study these impacts in greater depth. They focused on developing sustainable practices, such as integrated pest management, habitat preservation, and the use of native species in polyculture systems. These practices aim to mitigate negative impacts while maximizing the benefits of the technology. The ethical discourse also extended to global equity and the distribution of the technology's benefits. The consortium and the International Ethics Council worked to ensure that time-looping technology did not become a tool that deepened global inequalities. They advocated for international agreements to support technology transfer, capacity building, and fair access, particularly for low-income regions and vulnerable populations. As these ethical frontiers were explored, the global governance structure for time-looping technology evolved. The consortium established specialized committees to focus on key areas such as health, agriculture, and social impacts. These committees included diverse stakeholders, ensuring that a wide range of perspectives was represented in decision-making processes. The chapter concluded with a reflection on the importance of ethical governance in the age of advanced technology. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were committed to navigating the ethical challenges posed by time-looping technology with transparency, inclusivity, and respect for human and environmental dignity. They recognized that the decisions made today would shape the future trajectory of the technology and its role in society. The journey of integrating time-looping technology continued, marked by complex ethical considerations and the need for thoughtful public engagement. The foundations laid by the consortium and the International Ethics Council provided a strong basis for addressing these challenges, ensuring that the technology's development was guided by principles of fairness, justice, and responsibility. As they looked to the future, Dr. Vaughn and her team were prepared to continue their work with a deep sense of ethical commitment, confident that with collective effort, they could help shape a future where technology served the common good and advanced human flourishing in harmony with the natural world. As the global community grappled with the ethical implications and regulatory challenges of time-looping technology, attention also turned to its adaptability and resilience in the face of unforeseen events. This chapter explores how Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team, along with international partners, worked to ensure that time-looping technology could adapt to changing conditions and continue to provide benefits while minimizing risks. One of the key areas of focus was the development of adaptive management strategies. These strategies were designed to make the technology more resilient to unexpected changes in the environment, societal conditions, our technological landscapes. Adaptive management involved continuous monitoring, feedback loops, and the flexibility to adjust practices and policies in response to new information. In agriculture, adaptive management was particularly important due to the dynamic nature of ecosystems and the potential for rapid environmental changes. Dr. Vaughn's team worked closely with agronomists and ecologists to develop a set of adaptive practices that could be implemented in time-looped farming systems. These practices included real-time environmental monitoring, diversification of crops, and the use of predictive modeling to anticipate and mitigate risks such as pest outbreaks or weather extremes. The team also explored the use of time-looping technology in enhancing ecological resilience. For instance, they investigated the potential for using time loops to accelerate the restoration of degraded landscapes or to increase the growth rates of endangered plant species. These applications aim to support biodiversity conservation and ecosystem health, aligning technological development with environmental stewardship. In healthcare, the focus was on developing resilient medical systems that could respond to new health challenges and changing patient needs. The team collaborated with public health experts to integrate time-looping technology into emergency response frameworks, such as for natural disasters or pandemics. They developed protocols for rapidly deploying time-loop treatments to enhance recovery rates and reduce the burden on healthcare systems. This proactive approach to resilience also extended to the governance of time-looping technology. The International Ethics Council and the Global Time-Looping Consortium emphasized the need for robust regulatory frameworks that could adapt to new ethical, social, and environmental challenges. They advocated for the incorporation of scenario planning and risk assessments into policymaking processes, ensuring that potential future challenges could be anticipated and addressed. Public engagement continued to play a crucial role in building resilience. The team and their international partners recognized that an informed and involved public was essential for the long-term sustainability of time-looping technology. They expanded their outreach efforts to include training programs and workshops that equipped communities with the knowledge and skills needed to participate in in adaptive management and decision-making. As these adaptive strategies were implemented, the team also focused on the broader societal implications of time-looping technology. They considered how the technology could be used to build resilience in communities, particularly in the face of economic or social disruptions. This included exploring applications in education, where time loops could potentially be used to accelerate learning and skill development, and in workforce training, where they could help workers adapt to changing job markets. The concept of technological resilience became a guiding principle for the team's work. This principle emphasized the importance of flexibility, continuous learning, and the ability to recover from setbacks. It was based on the understanding that while technology could provide significant benefits, it also needed to be robust enough to withstand challenges and uncertainties. The chapter also highlighted the importance of international collaboration in building resilience. The Global Time-Looping Consortium facilitated the sharing of best practices, data, and research findings among member countries. This collaborative approach helped to standardize adaptive management practices and to develop a global understanding of how to manage the risks and opportunities associated with time-looping technology. Dr. Vaughn reflected on the progress made in enhancing the resilience of time-looping systems. She noted that while the technology's adaptability was a strength, it also required a commitment to ethical principles and a willingness to engage with complex challenges. The journey of integrating time-looping technology was ongoing, and the need for resilience would only grow as the technology continued to evolve and expand. As the chapter concluded, there was a sense of cautious optimism about the future. The steps taken to enhance the adaptability and resilience of time-looping technology provided a strong foundation for navigating the uncertainties ahead. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were prepared to continue their work with a focus on sustainability, ethical innovation, and public engagement. The path forward was not without its challenges, but the principles of adaptive management and resilience offered a roadmap for addressing them. With a collective commitment to these principles, the global community could ensure that time-looping technology was developed and used in a way that supported human and environmental well-being, now and in the future. As the implementation and integration of time-looping technology deepened, the complexities and global impacts of its use became more apparent. This chapter explores how Dr. Iris Vaughn and her team, along with international partners, navigated these complexities and addressed the broader implications of the technology's global reach. The widespread adoption of time-looping technology brought to the forefront issues of scale, governance, and unintended consequences. While the technology offered significant benefits in agriculture, healthcare, and other sectors, it also posed challenges that required coordinated global action and adaptive strategies. One of the primary concerns was the technology's scalability and the varying capacity of different regions to implement it effectively. In wealthier nations, time-looping technology was quickly integrated into existing infrastructure, enhancing productivity and innovation. However, in less developed regions, the lack of resources, infrastructure, and technical expertise posed significant barriers. This disparity risked exacerbating global inequalities, as those with access to the technology advanced more rapidly than those without. To address this, the Global Time-Looping Consortium, with the support of Dr. Vaughn and her team, launched initiatives aimed at bridging these gaps. These included technology transfer programs, training workshops, and the establishment of regional hubs for knowledge exchange. The consortium also advocated for policies that ensured fair pricing and equitable access to time-looping technology, emphasizing the importance of global solidarity and mutual support. Another complexity was the potential for unintended ecological and social consequences. As the use of time-looping technology expanded, so did concerns about its long-term impacts on ecosystems, biodiversity, and social structures. In agriculture, for example, the introduction of genetically altered crops raised questions about the potential for ecological disruption and loss of traditional farming practices. Similarly, in healthcare, the prospect of human enhancements prompted debates about social equity and the ethical limits of technological intervention. The International Ethics Council, established to provide oversight and guidance, played a critical role in navigating these issues. The Council facilitated discussions on the ethical implications of time-looping technology, bringing together experts from diverse fields to explore potential risks and benefits. They developed guidelines for responsible innovation, which included measures to protect vulnerable populations, preserve cultural heritage, and ensure environmental sustainability. Public engagement was also crucial in addressing these complexities. Dr. Vaughn and her team continued to prioritize transparency and communication, involving communities in discussions about the technology's and impact. They expanded their outreach to include marginalized groups, ensuring that all voices were heard and that the benefits and risks of the technology were equitably considered. One of the key initiatives in this regard was the creation of community advisory boards, which provided a platform for local stakeholders to participate in decision-making processes. These boards were composed of representatives from various sectors, including agriculture, healthcare, education, and civil society. They played a vital role in shaping local implementations of time-looping technology, ensuring that projects were tailored to meet community needs and values. The consortium also launched a global campaign to raise awareness about the ethical and social dimensions of time-looping technology. This campaign included educational materials, public service announcements, and interactive events that encouraged people to think critically about the technology's impact on their lives and the world. The goal was to foster a culture of informed and engaged citizenship, where individuals felt empowered to contribute to the dialogue and decision-making processes. As these efforts unfolded, the team also faced challenges related to the governance of emerging technologies. The rapid pace of technological advancement often outstripped the ability of existing regulatory frameworks to keep up. This gap created a space where unregulated or poorly regulated applications could arise, potentially leading to harm or exploitation. To address this, Dr. Vaughn and her colleagues advocated for a proactive approach to regulation, one that was anticipatory rather than reactive. They called for the development of flexible and adaptive regulatory frameworks that could evolve with the technology and respond to new challenges as they emerged. This approach required close collaboration between governments, industry, academia, and civil society, ensuring that all stakeholders had a role in shaping the rules and norms governing time-looping technology. The chapter highlighted the importance of resilience and adaptability in navigating the complexities and global impacts of time-looping technology. It underscored the need for continuous learning, open dialogue, and a willingness to adapt to new information and changing circumstances. The journey of integrating time-looping technology was marked by uncertainty and complexity, but also by the potential for positive change and innovation. Dr. Vaughn, reflecting on the global scale of the technology's impact, emphasized the interconnectedness of the challenges and opportunities it presented. She noted that while the technology could address pressing global issues, such as food security and healthcare, it also required a collective effort to manage its risks and ensure that its benefits were shared equitably. As the chapter concluded, there was a recognition that the work of integrating time-looping technology into society was far from complete. The global community faced ongoing challenges, but there was also a strong foundation of collaboration, ethical commitment, and public engagement. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were dedicated to continuing this journey, guided by the principles of responsible innovation and global solidarity. The path ahead was complex and multifaceted, but with a shared vision and collective effort, the global community could navigate the challenges and harness the potential of time-looping technology for the greater good. The journey was one of discovery and adaptation, marked by a commitment to building a future that was just, sustainable, and inclusive. The journey of integrating time-looping technology into global society reached a critical juncture as unforeseen crises emerged. These crises tested the resilience of the existing frameworks and highlighted the need for more robust global cooperation and consensus. This chapter explores how Dr. Iris Vaughn, her team, and the international community navigated these challenges and worked towards unified responses. The first major crisis involved a significant ecological disturbance in a region heavily reliant on time-looping technology for agriculture. Reports emerged of widespread crop failures and soil degradation, initially thought to be caused by unforeseen interactions between genetically altered plants and local environmental conditions. This event sparked alarm not only among scientists and policymakers, but also among the general public, who feared the potential for similar occurrences in other regions. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with international experts, launched an urgent investigation into the crisis. The investigation revealed that the issue was linked to a previously unknown phenomenon where accelerated growth cycles had led to nutrient depletion and soil erosion at a rate faster than anticipated. This finding underscored the limitations of existing models and the need for more sophisticated monitoring and adaptive management practices. The crisis prompted immediate action from the Global Time-Looping Consortium and the International Ethics Council. They called for a temporary suspension of similar agricultural applications in vulnerable regions and the implementation of emergency soil restoration programs. This decision was supported by a broad coalition of governments, scientific institutions, and civil society organizations, reflecting a consensus on the urgency of the situation. Simultaneously, a parallel crisis unfolded in the healthcare sector. Anomalies in patients undergoing long-term time-looping treatments for chronic conditions began to surface, including unexpected side effects such as increased susceptibility to infections and immune system irregularities. These anomalies were traced back to subtle but significant changes in patients' biological rhythms and immune responses, likely induced by the altered temporal experiences associated with the treatments. The revelation of these health risks led to a widespread public outcry and renewed scrutiny of time-looping technology's safety. The healthcare crisis highlighted the gaps in existing patient monitoring and support systems, as well as the need for more comprehensive research into the long-term effects of the technology. In response, Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with international health experts, recommended a moratorium on certain medical applications of time-looping technology. They proposed the establishment of specialized health monitoring programs to track and manage patients who had undergone time-loop treatments. These programs aim to provide targeted medical care, psychological support, and regular health assessments to identify and address potential side effects. The dual crises in agriculture and healthcare underscored the interconnected nature of the challenges posed by time-looping technology. They also highlighted the limitations of the existing regulatory frameworks, which were often reactive rather than proactive. The need for a more integrated and anticipatory approach to governance became a central theme in the ensuing discussions. The crises prompted an extraordinary session of the Global Time-Looping Consortium, where representatives from member countries, industry leaders, and international organizations gathered to chart a path forward. The session focused on strengthening global cooperation, enhancing the resilience of time-looping systems, and addressing the ethical and social implications of the technology. One of the key outcomes of the session was the agreement to establish a global crisis response mechanism for time-looping technology. This mechanism was designed to facilitate rapid coordination and response in the event of future crises, ensuring that resources, expertise, and support could be mobilized quickly and effectively. It also included provisions for continuous risk assessment, scenario planning, and the development of contingency plans. Another significant decision was the expansion of the International Ethics Council's mandate to include a broader range of stakeholders, including representatives from vulnerable communities, indigenous groups, and environmental organizations. This expansion aimed to ensure that the governance of time-looping technology was more inclusive and reflective of diverse perspectives and values. Public engagement played a crucial role in the crisis response. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with the consortium, launched an intensive public communication campaign to explain the situation, the actions being taken, and the steps needed to prevent future crises. They emphasized transparency, accountability, and the importance of learning from mistakes. This approach helped to rebuild public trust and confidence, which had been shaken by the crises. As the chapter concluded, there was a recognition that the crises had been a wake-up call for the global community. They underscored the importance of vigilance, adaptability, and ethical responsibility in managing advanced technologies. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were committed to strengthening the frameworks and practices that governed time-looping technology, ensuring that it could continue to provide benefits while minimizing risks. The journey was marked by challenges and setbacks, but also by a collective commitment to resilience and ethical stewardship. The crises had tested the limits of the existing systems, but they also provided an opportunity for growth and improvement. Dr. Vaughn and her colleagues remained dedicated to navigating the complexities of time-looping technology with integrity, guided by a vision of a future where technology served the common good and contributed to a just and sustainable world. In the aftermath of the dual crises in agriculture and healthcare, the global community recognized the need for a fundamental reassessment of the approach to time-looping technology. This chapter explores how Dr. Iris Vaughn, her team, and their international partners worked to chart a new course, emphasizing sustainability, inclusivity, and proactive governance. The crises underscored the necessity of integrating advanced foresight and ethical considerations into the deployment of time-looping technology. The Global Time-Looping Consortium and the International Ethics Council took the lead in organizing a series of strategic planning sessions aimed at developing a long-term vision for the technology. These sessions brought together experts from various fields, including science, ethics, law, and public policy, as well as representatives from civil society and vulnerable communities. A key focus of these discussions was the concept of responsible innovation, which emphasized the need to balance technological advancement with social and environmental responsibilities. This approach required not only preventing harm, but also actively promoting positive outcomes, such as reducing inequality, enhancing environmental sustainability, and fostering social cohesion. One of the central initiatives that emerged from these discussions was the creation of a global framework for responsible time looping, GFRT. This framework set out comprehensive guidelines and principles for the ethical development and use of time-looping technology. It included specific provisions for environmental protection, public health, social equity, and transparency. The framework was designed to be adaptive, allowing for updates and revisions as new challenges and opportunities arose. The GFRT also established a Global Innovation Council, tasked with overseeing the implementation of the framework and ensuring that time-looping projects adhered to its standards. This council was composed of a diverse group of stakeholders, including scientists, ethicists, policymakers, community leaders, and representatives from marginalized groups. Its role was to provide oversight, facilitate cross-sectoral collaboration, and ensure that the voices of all affected parties were considered in decision-making processes. To support the goals of the GFRT, Dr. Vaughn and her team worked on developing new methodologies for assessing the long-term impacts of time-looping technology. This included enhancing predictive models and monitoring systems, as well as conducting comprehensive impact assessments that considered not only immediate effects, but also potential future scenarios. These tools were crucial for identifying and mitigating risks, as well as for ensuring that benefits were distributed fairly and sustainably. Public engagement remained a cornerstone of the new approach. The consortium and the Global Innovation Council prioritized building strong relationships with communities, particularly those most affected by time-looping technology. They implemented robust mechanisms for public consultation and participation, ensuring that communities had a say in how the technology was used and governed. This included setting up local advisory councils, community workshops, and online platforms for feedback and dialogue. Education and capacity building were also key components of the strategy. The consortium launched initiatives to raise awareness about responsible innovation and to equip people with the skills and knowledge needed to engage critically with time-looping technology. These initiatives targeted diverse audiences, including students, professionals, and policymakers, and were designed to foster a culture of lifelong learning and ethical reflection. The global response to the crises highlighted the importance of international cooperation and solidarity. The consortium strengthened partnerships with international organizations, governments, and non-governmental organizations, working together to align policies, share resources, and coordinate actions. This collaboration was essential for addressing global challenges, such as climate change and health crises, that intersected with the use of time-looping technology. As the new course was charted, there was a sense of cautious optimism about the future. The steps taken to strengthen governance, enhance public engagement, and promote responsible innovation provided a strong foundation for managing the complexities of time-looping technology. Dr. Vaughn and her team, along with their international partners, were committed to continuing their work with integrity and foresight, guided by the lessons learned from the past. The chapter closed with a reflection on the journey thus far. The integration of time-looping technology into society had been a challenging and often turbulent process, marked by significant achievements, but also by serious setbacks. However, the crises had also catalyzed a shift towards more thoughtful and responsible innovation, laying the groundwork for a future where technology could truly serve the common good. Dr. Vaughn, reflecting on the progress made, emphasized the importance of humility, adaptability, and a commitment to ethical principles. She recognized that the work was far from over and that new challenges would undoubtedly arise. However, she was confident that with a shared vision and collective effort, the global community could navigate these challenges and harness the potential of time-looping technology for the benefit of all. As they looked to the future, Dr. Vaughn and her team remained dedicated to building a world where technology was used wisely and equitably, enhancing human well-being and protecting the planet. The journey was ongoing, but the path was clearer, guided by a renewed commitment to responsible innovation and a deep respect for the interconnectedness of all life.